probably remember when Gene Wilder was on a hot streak. Our original Willy Wonka, fresh off his amazing performances in Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles. And then came a film that put him on a runaway train, literally. That was Silver Streak, a comedy thriller that thought mixing murder, mystery, and Richard Pryor was a good idea. Well, it really was. Today, we're rolling into Silver Streak with 15 of the strangest, funniest, and most weird facts you probably never knew. So grab your popcorn, settle in, and let's start with.
Now we got to make them cops think you're black.
It'll never work.
The blackface scene in Silver Streak is cringe today and was risky back then. Believe it or not, the version we got was the improved one. Wilder still had to smear shoe polish all over his face in the mirror, looking like the world's most desperate Halloween costume. The original script was way worse. That disguise was actually supposed to work. He was gonna walk past white cops and fool them completely, because apparently, in 1976, somebody in Hollywood thought racism was equal to comedy gold. Richard Pryor took one look at that and said, no. He told Wilder that if he does that scene, it is going to hurt a lot of black people. So he walked right off set and left them hanging. When he came back, it was only after they rewrote the payoff. Now, instead of cops being clueless, a black shoeshine guy sees through Wilder instantly and just toys with him, while Wilder flails around with that cringy fake jive talk. Is it still uncomfortable to watch? Oh, absolutely. But Pryor saved it from being a full-on disaster.
Who are you? I'm a thief, man. Take it easy.
Before Deadpool and Wolverine, before Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, there was Wilder and Pryor. And it all started on Silver Streak. Their banter was so sharp, you would think they had been cracking jokes together since birth. But in reality, they were not. Off camera, Wilder later admitted, Pryor was, let's just say, challenging to hang out with. They were not besties, but when the cameras rolled, sparks flew. That chemistry turned into box office gold with Stir Crazy in 1980 and See No Evil, Hear No Evil in 1989. Sometimes you don't need a lifelong bromance. You just need two geniuses bouncing off each other for the rest of us to enjoy. Now, here is a plot twist no one knew. The one star that did not want the spotlight was Amtrak. The production team originally wanted their shiny trains front and center, complete with branding. Amtrak said, absolutely not. But why did they say that? Well, because nothing says unsafe travel like a murder-filled runaway train. Instead of lending their logo to the disaster, Amtrak shut the door. Worried the movie would tank their reputation faster than a missed connection in Chicago, the filmmakers pivoted to Canada and disguised Canadian Pacific trains as a made-up line called AM Road. It cost them more time and money, but it also gave them creative freedom. Turns out, even fake trains can run a blockbuster straight to success. Silver Streak could have looked very different if Hollywood's casting roulette wheel had landed elsewhere. Richard Keel's hulking Reese? That part was not even written for a giant. It was meant for Lionel Stander, who bailed, and Keel stepped in and turned the role into something unforgettable. Meanwhile, Addams Family's John Astin and Mary Poppins' dad David Tomlinson both noped out of playing the villain Devereaux, leaving it for Patrick McGoohan. Even Hilly Burns was nearly Sally Field, but she passed, paving the way for Jill Clayburgh. And for the lead roles, screenwriter Colin Higgins wanted George Segal, but Fox execs shoved Gene Wilder into the role instead. Thank them for that, because without Wilder, we would never have gotten his legendary pairing with Pryor. If you are gonna copy someone's homework, at least do it from the smartest kid in class. Silver Streak borrows a lot from Alfred Hitchcock, especially his 1959 classic North by Northwest. Ordinary guy, fast train, big trouble. And guess who noticed? Cary Grant himself. Yep, the star of that Hitchcock masterpiece pulled Gene Wilder aside and said, "So, this was on purpose, right?" Wilder admitted it absolutely was. Instead of being salty about the imitation, Grant tipped his hat and praised how the film nailed that tightrope between suspense and comedy. When Cary Grant tells you your Hitchcock cosplay works, that is the ultimate thumbs up. When Hollywood wants realism, sometimes it comes with a repair bill. The production slapped big AM Road decals over a Canadian Pacific FP7A diesel locomotive, CP Rail number 4070, to transform it into a fictional US train. It sure looked slick on camera until filming wrapped. When the decals were peeled off, they ripped up the original paint job underneath like a bad sunburn. Canadian Pacific was not amused. The film company had to foot the bill for a complete repaint at CP's Transcona shops in Winnipeg. In other words, Silver Streak left behind more than box office receipts. It left behind one very expensive paint correction. Silver Streak pretends it is a Los Angeles to Chicago ride, but sharp-eyed viewers can spot Canada all over it. The Kansas City skyline, that is Calgary photobombing. The big Chicago station finale? Actually, Toronto's Union Station is complete with the Royal York Hotel looming nearby. Even the AM Road locomotives were Canadian Pacific units in disguise, painted up to look like an American line. For interiors, the crew built rocking train sets on rubber tires, while lights flashed by to simulate passing scenery. Basically, half the US Midwest was faked north of the border. So if you have ever thought the Midwest looked suspiciously Canadian in this movie, you are not wrong. Screenwriter Colin Higgins, the quirky genius behind Harold and Maude, did not expect Silver Streak to make a splash. Instead, his script kicked off a Hollywood bidding war. Studios circled like hawks, and 20th Century Fox finally won with an eye-popping $400,000 offer. It was one of the highest prices ever paid for an original screenplay at the time. That was 1970s money, by the way, when a decent house cost less than that. Higgins' ordinary guy on a train thriller suddenly became the hottest property in town. And Fox's gamble paid off because the film not only turned a profit, it launched a whole comedy thriller formula that studios tried to chase for years. On screen, Silver Streak makes you feel like that train is barreling across the Midwest at breakneck speed, but in reality, it was barely moving faster than your neighborhood ice cream truck. For safety, especially during those rooftop fights and hair-raising stunts, the locomotive crawled along at about 15 miles per hour. Cinematographers leaned on tilted camera angles, quick editing, and a thunderous soundtrack to sell the danger. The result was so realistic that the viewers clutched their armrests like they were watching a rocket launch, when really the crew could have jogged alongside. This is absolute movie magic, guys. That is how the illusion of speed can be just as effective as the real thing, and a lot safer too.
Look what I've done. See what I...
One of Silver Streak's most uncomfortable yet unforgettable moments came from Richard Pryor's insistence. During the scene where he is coaching Gene Wilder to act black, villain Patrick McGoohan was supposed to deliver a racial slur. McGoohan resisted because he just could not bring himself to say it. Pryor told McGoohan, "Do it. The shock is what makes the joke." And so he did. When Devereaux says, "You ignorant," and actually used the N-word, it sticks but nails the absurdity of Wilder's disguise and the stakes of the scene. Pryor knew the comedy needed that raw edge to land, and he was right. It clearly tells us about Pryor's instinct that he was not playing only for the laughs. He was shaping moments that would stick in audiences' heads for decades. Even in a thriller packed with fights, shootings, and explosions, sometimes the smallest blooper is what fans remember most. Case in point is Gene Wilder, mid-scene with Ned Beatty's FBI agent, pulls out a cigarette and lights the filter end. Smooth, right? Realizing his mistake, he casually rips it off, grabs another, and tries again, all flustered but still in character. The director left it in, and it works perfectly. It shows George Caldwell's frazzled, "What the f*** is happening to me?" energy, and gives audiences a laugh amid the chaos. Honestly, it is the kind of slip you would never see in today's over-edited blockbusters. But in the 70s, that kind of authenticity was worth keeping on the reel. Robert Vaughn, forever smooth from The Man from U.N.C.L.E., thought he had found his next great role as the Silver Streak's villain, Roger Devereaux. He even read the script, loved it, and figured he was in the running. Except, the role was already taken. Patrick McGoohan had signed on, and Vaughn only got the script because someone accidentally mailed it to him. That is some next-level Hollywood ghosting. Vaughn was disappointed, but he still swung by the set, hit it off with Gene Wilder, and walked away with a friendship instead of a paycheck. For sure, in showbiz, you don't get the villain role. You just get a really good buddy out of the deal. Jill Clayburgh, cast as Hilly Burns, brought the charm and intelligence the movie needed. But stunts? Yeah, that was not her comfort zone. Clayburgh admitted she was nervous about the more physical parts of filming. It is not exactly surprising, since she was more at home in dramas and comedies than in thrillers with speeding trains and gunfights. To her credit, she pushed through and still delivered a graceful performance, even if she wasn't itching to leap across train cars. It is relatable, really. Not everyone wants to risk their neck for movie magic. Unlike Wilder and Pryor, who were out there running, jumping, and nearly falling off trains, Clayburgh's heroics were keeping her composure while the chaos unfolded. Patrick McGoohan played villains, or shall we say, he radiated them. Director Arthur Hiller snagged him for Silver Streak after seeing his cold, magnetic turn as number 6 in the cult TV classic The Prisoner. That same icy intelligence slid neatly into Roger Devereaux, a villain who always seemed 2 steps ahead and 1 sneer away from total domination. McGoohan was not chewing scenery like a cartoon bad guy, he was chilling because he felt real. Now, that is the kind of performance that makes you wonder if the casting call just said, "Bring us someone who can terrify Gene Wilder without raising his voice." Do you remember that jaw-dropping finale where a train barrels into a station? No, they did not actually wreck a locomotive through Union Station, though Hollywood would probably try today and call it immersive marketing. Back in 1976, they went old school. Miniatures. The crew built scaled-down trains and sets, filmed them in clever wide shots, then stitched them together with interior set pieces for maximum chaos. Mix in some sharp editing, and audiences swore they were watching the real deal. It just tells how good the practical effects were in the pre-CGI era. Think less digital wizardry, more grown adults crashing toy trains with Oscar-level seriousness. And these were the 15 weird facts you surely did not know about Silver Streak. If you had fun riding this nostalgic train with us, hit that like, tap subscribe, and drop a comment with your favorite fact, or the one that blew your mind the most. We love hearing what you spot on Rewatch. And that is a wrap. This is Studio Scoop signing off.